Here we are again with the Empower Her Movement Podcast. I'm glad you all are here. Today I have a friend and mentor, I would call her, and she would probably mimic the same. We've been working together for a little while. Her name is Aysha Pride. She's also known as Coach Pride. I see her as not just a women's basketball coach with Pinecrest High School in North Carolina, but also as a coach who has passion for growing not just the athlete, but strong, resilient, independent young women. So I am very excited to have her here. We've been working together a little bit with her team, me as the mental coach, and she is the head coach. And we've just had such a great time together. And I knew she was a wealth of great information. So I wanted to have her on. So welcome, Coach
Yeah,
Pride.
excited to be here with you today. Thank you for the opportunity, the platform to speak on these very important topics.
I'm so excited for you to share. How I like to start this is just asking some questions and then going from there, and we'll just see where this takes us. So
Yeah, great.
let's ask the first question. What personal challenges as a woman have you faced that shaped your journey, and how did you overcome it?
Great. Thank you for this question. And this one is personal to me. I don't know how many really know this about myself, but after playing as a 4-year starter at UNC Charlotte women's basketball, I was afforded the opportunity to play in Warsaw, Poland professionally. It was an incredible experience to be able to play at that level for a country and also with American teammates. So I had the opportunity to play alongside a student athlete that came from UCLA as well as Pitt, which is my hometown, University of Pittsburgh. It was an awesome experience to be able to play at that level against some of the best. We got to face off against some WNBA players who would quite honestly and often play overseas when the season wasn't going on here in America. I had a great first year. First game right off the plane, I had 30 points. Throughout the course of the season, found success with some nominations even toward the All-Star team, which was a part of that league. But soon thereafter, obviously, when the season came to an end, I came home. And, after spending some time at home shortly thereafter, my boyfriend, then husband now, found out that we were expecting our daughter, who is now Skylar. And at the time, I didn't know what to do because in my mind, after that season in Poland, I had plans to go to Germany to play, to continue to play basketball. So at that time, obviously, that was a challenge of having to decide what I was going to be able to do. At that time, I wish I knew what I know now. Then I didn't necessarily take the approach of taking some time off, but then getting back into the game after having my daughter. But it was really shifting gears career wise, right? Stepping away from what I knew since I was 3 or 4 years old into a whole different lifestyle. So I think that experience in and of itself, getting outside of my comfort zone, growing up quick, if you will, really was a personal challenge that I faced that I really feel like helped shape my journey that I'm still living today.
Yeah, shifts your identity even.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I can relate. My life changed because of the unexpected.
That's right.
Here comes my daughter, best thing that ever happened to me, but you never know how that changes the dynamic and the fear, right? You
Mm-hmm.
find out, oh my gosh, this has changed everything for me. What's now next for me? So thank you for sharing. That's big.
Absolutely, no problem.
What's been one practice or mindset helped you build resilience and keep pushing forward, especially in the face of adversity?
Yep. So I would say for me, it's the 5 P's. So proper preparation prevents poor performance. So I think for me, I lean over prepare versus being underprepared just because there's so many unknowns, right? I mean, and there's things that I struggle with, right? I'm vulnerable, right? I get nervous, right, before watching a basketball game, or if I've got a big work meeting coming up and I know I need to speak in front of the board. Like anyone else, there might be jitters there and things of that nature. So for me, spending time and being very intentional in the way that I prepare helps me build resilience, whether it's coaching, whether it's preparing for boardroom meeting, etc. And I think the other thing for me that helps is community. Not doing life alone. It's important to recognize your own strengths and weaknesses and to be able to recognize that in other people. And I really focus on that. If there's something that I see in you or one of my assistant coaches or even a coach that I might coach against, right? And if it's something that I admire, being willing to include them in my circle, if you will, is something that I take a lot of passion and pride in, and understanding that everyone might not want to be in your community, but at least to offer that up as an option or extend yourself there, it's always worth it at the end because, again, there's going to be so many things we face in life, as we talked about with, unexpected pregnancies. There was a community of women that I had to reach out to learn what benefits were available to me or what things
Mm.
to monitor health wise that I might not have been prepared for up front, given it was something unexpected. But meeting them in my circle helped me be able to get through some of those periods in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think community is such a big thing that we don't realize we need.
Mhm.
I mean, back in the day, that's how women raised their children is with a group with it was a shared effort. It wasn't necessarily one-on-one. And nowadays we've shifted more into this, no, you're on your own. But realistically, why? Why do that? Because when we have that community, those people to pull things from, it allows us the opportunity to one, feel heard, two, feel like we're not alone, and three, ask for advice.
Right.
I really like that you also said preparation is key. You called it the three P's. Is that what you called
The
it?
5 P's, or proper preparation prevents poor performance.
I
Right.
love it. So I'm curious, did you use that in basketball too?
Of course, probably at some point in time, I got it, from basketball, but it's so true, right? It's so true. When you take that time to really prepare, it leads to being confident in that moment, if you will, because you can draw back on those experiences when you were preparing for that event or meeting or game, what have you.
Yeah, one of the things that I teach consistently is have different options. The when this happens, then I'm going to do this. When
That's
this
right.
happens, then I'm going to do this. When this happens, then I'm going to do this. So you're having the if then breakdown in three different sections so that way you're prepared for worst case, best case, and then whatever
That's right.
life gives you, like
Mhm.
let's go this route. So I think preparation is such a key element to life overall because you then have, like you said, the confidence in any of those situations
That's
because you
right.
set yourself up for success and kind of envisioned it, for lack of a better term. I love that. That's so great.
Mhm.
Do you also teach your children that?
I do. I try. And there's obviously some resistance there, maybe with one over others, vice versa. But I think, if anything, I hope that they get from my words, it's more or less my actions with the way that they see that the way I carry myself, whether it's on the sideline or if they get to view or hear me conversate in a Zoom call just like this for work, that they see their mom in action putting forth all those things that I might be preaching to them, if you will, through my words. So I hope so. Time will
Yeah.
tell, I guess.
Yes. And I do
Yeah.
agree. Actions do speak louder than words. They see and
Mhm.
mimic what they see versus, we can tell them all the time, but if we're the ones eating ice cream every night, like, I'm gonna go ahead and eat the ice cream every night.
Right,
You're
right.
doing it. Why not? Don't tell me that it's not healthy.
Yeah.
You're eating it. So, yes, absolutely. Okay, so next question. What did you do, or what have you done, or what do you do now to keep calm and reset in hard moments?
Okay. So there's probably two things that I draw from here. Number one being control the controllables. So I'm already a person very much type A. Very much wants to control probably more than I really should or even could. So it's really just evaluating what is really within my control and what is not. And for those that have a faith-based approach to things spiritually, I do try to spend some time in that as well, because it just really helps me put perspective with things. And I think too, that's where grace comes in. So I'm big about giving myself grace. I'm big about giving the folks that are around me, whether it's my coaching staff or the people that I might work with, just grace and understanding, and knowing that what might be top of mind or important to me might not be important or top in mind to that other person in that moment. It doesn't mean they don't necessarily care. It's just having that understanding. So again, as I want to give that to others, I need to also make sure that I give that, to myself, because obviously being a coach, being a mom, being a full-time employee, being a wife, if you will, like there's so many different demands that are on me, on us, anyone listening, each and every day, seconds and minutes within the day. So it's quickly saying, look, is that something within my control right now? Can I save that parking lot it for later? And then look, most importantly, if I mess up, right? Like if my kids didn't get that meal that in my mind I was hoping for them to get after I got done with practice, did they eat? Number one, and give myself grace that they did, right? Or one thing I'll share too that's important, being such a busy mom with two in middle school and one in elementary, I'm super proud of my kids and just, again, taking the approach of owning their academics and everything and loving on them, showing them grace when they show up well in class or pass that test that, they struggled, or even if they did, showing them love that I saw the work ethic, I saw the effort, etc. It didn't go your way, but I see the progress. Those are just little examples, whether it's with my coaching staff or with my family, that I try to demonstrate to keep calm in the most chaotic and hardest moments.
With the idea of control and being able to control the controllables, I love how you mentioned I'm trying to give grace to others and give them that understanding. You can only control so much what's within your space. So I talk grip gravity, but the things that you can control, what you think, what you say, what you do, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
For yourself, how hard is it to remind yourself that? We can tell other people all day long, but when it comes to you yourself, how hard is it to give yourself grace and remind yourself of that's out of my control, it's okay?
Right? It's very hard because I have a high expectation for myself. I want to do a good job in anything that I do, whether it's an email that I'm sending to a parent or it's preparing for a rival game. But again, we are just leaning in on community, right? It's the community around me that will pick me up when I need to be picked up, or will love on me when I need to be loved on, or give me the kudos or the praise. I think for women, often we don't celebrate each other well enough and often enough. And when you see someone doing a good job, I want to make sure that I make an effort to call that out when I see it. But I want to surround myself with people that do that for me as well. Because let's be honest, it's great to have someone there as a shoulder to cry on, but we all need a cheerleader when we're crushing it. I think that helps build resiliency as well, and just making sure you have that community around you.
Yeah, I really love that. My oldest went to UNC ID camp, and the coach there said, it's like I've noticed in my years working with female youth athletes that women, after scoring a goal, don't celebrate the way that
Right.
they should. There's no big, like, hurrah, this is amazing. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go type of thing. And I think that's it. Like, we hold ourselves back because we should have done that.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. It should have been that way versus, holy cow, we did it.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So,
We crushed it. And you'll
yeah.
notice, like, even in my coaching style, I tell myself every year I'm going to dial it back. But I got so much energy from coaches that celebrated the success of myself or my teammates. So for me, it's natural that when I see that right pass being made, or that defensive effort, or that player that dives on the floor for the loose ball, or the player that didn't get the rebound but did an excellent job boxing out, that it's important for me for them to know that I see it, the coaching staff sees it, and that they're celebrated in that moment. Because I know this is something we've talked about, is I already know there's so many negative thoughts or other things that are being said in that student athlete's head or even my kids' head, where I want what they hear from me to be positive. And again, there'll be the instruction, there'll be where we'll have to have some stern conversation in public, etc. I want them to see that I am totally behind them in what they're doing, but that would hopefully help lead to them being confident and feeling prepared when they're out there.
Yeah. Now, personal question. Do you feel like you received that from family and friends yourself as a youth athlete and
Yeah, I mean,
collegiate
to be
athlete?
honest with you, I think there's some examples that I can draw from where I did, but I can really remember situations where it didn't happen,
Mhm.
right? And I knew if I was ever in that situation, it would be different for the ones that I coach. I think just naturally in time, the game of basketball and the way it's been coached and trained has changed since I played, where there's been a lot of, for me coming up, I've had coaches that were very demeaning in a way that they were being demanding, right? Very instructional based, very, this is my way or no way. And I wanted to make sure that if I was ever blessed enough with an opportunity to coach, that I would be demanding without being demeaning, right? I would give my players a space to advocate for themselves and speak up and ask questions and feel free to fail, right? And for me, that doesn't come off as weak. If anything, it's a signal of strength. One, for my vulnerability and lack of ego, but then two, for the players that I get to them embracing themselves as future leaders and that they're capable of making decisions in that moment. They're capable of being courageous, but they're capable of speaking up for themselves and failing forward, if you will. So the game has come a long way, like I said, from me being a player to a coach. And my mission is to undo some of those things that I know that I've experienced as a student athlete.
I love that. I also think it does transition for us as women too in the workplace. I mean, basketball is fairly male dominated in certain sections. Where I work with special forces, super male dominated. It's hard for us women because we've been brought up that way and we know that we need to encourage one another and celebrate one another. I think some people hold themselves back from celebrating each other. And I value that you are growing these young ladies to be able to be independent, be able to speak up, and be able to celebrate their coworkers and their buddies and their whoever they're with
Mm-hmm.
on a consistent basis because it is difficult in the workforce.
That's
Because
right.
sometimes you walk out of work and you're just defeated, deflated. And if you don't have that community, even in your workspace, that can really drag you down and it's hard to reset in those hard moments.
That's right.
Okay, so back to being your younger self, what would you tell younger women or women currently facing similar struggles that you've overcame?
So, really just four quick words, right? Your network is your net worth. And if you don't get anything out of what I'm saying, it's taking time to really be intentional about who you have in your contacts, who you have in your messages, your email box. Pay attention to who you're following, the story, the information that you're feeding yourself, because that is really your net worth, right? It's what you're allowing yourself to be influenced by. It's what you're opening your mind and your heart to.
Yeah.
So really take heed into that. And I don't think I had someone there for me early enough to really share the value of people. Again, being a student athlete, you're blessed because naturally you're going to be on a team of 10 to 20, depending on what kind of team you play on, or smaller if it's like a tennis or golf situation. But fortunately, I had that. But if I didn't, I was very reserved. I was a private individual, introverted, and I wasn't necessarily one to go out there willing to meet people and allow people to really know me. The sport, the game of basketball, helped open myself up to that. So I would encourage young women, whether you're involved in sports or not, clubs, different organizations, to make sure that you are very intentional about the people that you surround yourself with. Make sure they're good for your spirit, your vibe. Make sure there's things that you can learn from. I got this from someone that within your network, you should have those that you're learning from,
Mhm.
right? That might be a little further along. So if you're a high school student, finding someone in college or in the workforce, right? Having someone in your network that is living life kind of the way you are, right? That are falling in the same steps, whether they're in your same class or grade or play your same sport. And then always have that group within your network that are younger than you. It's funny, we just finished with workouts today, and one of my favorite parts of it was watching our current girls mentor and walk through certain plays with our rising freshmen. Right, that's a great opportunity for them to step well into a leader and share what they know.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're perfect in the explanation, the willingness was there. And that's what I want them to get. So have folks in your network that are more advanced or at a higher level or older, have someone that's same walk of life, age, etc. And then have those within your group that are younger, I think helps build you up, as a person too.
I think there's a lot to be said about that. You have the person who you're learning from, but also on the bottom, you have the people that you're educating.
Right.
That knowledge and confidence comes from if you can understand it well enough to teach it to someone else. That is confidence.
That's
That
it.
is your ability to say, wait a minute, I've got this. I know this. And then you have your cheerleader, the person coming alongside you saying, yeah, we've got this, like hand
Yes.
in hand, let's go. So that it really pulls into your network and your community aspect that you're talking about, which I think just speaks numbers to women do better when we are together and working together. Introvert, extrovert, it doesn't matter. If we can find those people to help lift us, shift us, and shape us, it's
Right. And it doesn't have to be a competition, right? There is room at this table for you, for me, for others, right? I think there has been a misconception, and I hope we're moving away from that, where, there's only one room for someone that looks like me. And that's not necessary, right? The way that I think is, okay, I've been given this platform. Who else can I build up around me that I see great qualities in that could do as good of a job as me, or more importantly, an even better job, right? So like even like getting to my staff, I just want to shout them out quick. Like it's important for me to find people around me that are better at things than me, because I feel like that makes us stronger together. And where we might not all do all things, our little piece, right? When we put it together on that plate, make a great meal that we can eat off of for a very, very long time. Like I said, have that community without that competition, right? Knowing that we're all in it together.
I think that if we can break that barrier of jealousy,
Mhm.
if we could
Mhm.
just shift from jealousy to envy, that's a tiny shift. Jealousy is kind of ugly. It's kind of that like dirty, like,
It's
oh,
catty. It's yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Versus envy, it's, oh my gosh, I want to be like her. Let me go ask her how she got there, what she did. Can
Hmm.
she teach me? And have that strength and that bravery to ask those questions versus sheltering ourselves. And I think society kind of built us in that way with advertisement and now social media for
Hmm.
younger individuals, even older individuals. I think about my mom and I'm like, don't listen to that. It's so not true. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I think it just shapes, those things shape us. So if we can just put a boundary around that and allow ourselves to, as you said, just connect and feel more envy than jealousy.
It's everything. It's
Mhm.
everything.
That was awesome. Let's talk any types of tips, tricks, secrets that you might have in just any of the things that come with being a type A,
Mhm.
like overachiever individual.
Yep. So I think for one, just communication, right? The willingness and the courage to speak up for myself has been something that I continue to learn. Being, if you will, wanting to do things right always, probably taking on more than I probably should. I think it's important to over communicate, whether it's to your boss or to your peers, my coaching staff, etc., what all that I have going on or foresee coming in the future, because that helps set realistic expectations. And I lead with communication because there might be things that I'm putting on my plate to do, but just by speaking out and speaking up, others may say, let me take that from you. Let me do this. Have you thought about that? So that has been a trick for me. My coaching staff, we joke all the time about our group chat. And I told them when I brought them all on, I don't want you to think of our chat as something that I need you to respond to. This is a place where I could download information so that you're aware, right? And you take with it what you want. And there are times when I'll put things in there, and Coach Natalie, she's great, she'll take it, or Coach Mike, he'll take it, or Coach Porter, Coach Rex, etc. So again, by communicating, I'm taking things and I'm putting it out there. I'm providing opportunity to free up some space for me, but also setting realistic expectations, right? And again, like I said, speaking up for yourself and out is important. Sometimes I think as women, we want to hold on to too much, or we're so worried about being an inconvenience to others that we don't share,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where I think we need to get outside of ourselves, if you will, and allow those people to receive the message as they will, knowing that if we don't communicate, we won't be successful, at the end of the day. And then the other thing I want to make sure I make a point to say is I don't think we're getting any less busy anytime soon. Like, let's just be real, right? I don't know about you, but I think every New Year's, I'm like, I'm going to take that extra vacation, or I'm going to spend more time on XYZ. I think we just need to get comfortable with being busy, right? But what does that mean? So I've had a mentor share with me, when you look at your calendar now, if I were to pull mine up right now, it's colorful, very colorful. I got my blues, my greens, my purples, my whites, all this going on. But within my calendar, planning and being intentional about putting in what I call white space, that blank space of nothing, and not feeling guilty about it.
Oh,
Again, because as women, I feel like if it's not filled up, then I'm worthless. I don't have
yeah.
anything to do, right? But that's not it. You need that time to decompress, to reflect, pray, do whatever, or just have you time. Like for me, it's to catch up on a show that I haven't seen. And I'm not ashamed to say I might have slept through half of it. But you know what? That's why you can pause and you can rewind and go back to it when you are awake. And I don't feel bad about it at all. But again, it's just building in that white space within your colorful calendar and not feeling bad about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, those are
Yeah.
two solid pieces of information because I think about the communication piece, and I know for myself, I have a very hard time delegating. The control thing is a real thing for me, and trying to delegate and say, here, you can, how about, can you help me with this? Like, no, I got it. I'll do it all. I've got it all. Don't worry, I got it. But just the communication of, here's all the things that I have going on, for somebody to then speak up and say, hey, I got some time. I'll take that off your plate.
Mm.
Like that's a shift versus feeling like I have to tell somebody to do it. I'm just telling them you've built that community, those people around you. Hey, I've got all this going on. Then once they hear it, they can say, hey, I know how to do that easily, quick and fast. Let me take that from you. And
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah. Or hey, or
right? It just,
better yet, hey, I've already done it. Right. So like even our social media presence on and we've got tremendous feedback and I truly appreciate it, but it's not me, right? Like it's Coach Mo, who's also a track cross country coach at Pinecrest. It's Coach Porter who helps in that regard, who's an art teacher at a middle school, who helped put that content out there. Now, granted, I might give some ideas, but they are so forward thinking as far as like things that we need to get out there and they help despite their busy schedules, right? It's something that, again, as a coach, I've had to delegate and be okay with delegating and understanding that at the end of the day, it helps make the whole thing what it is. So that's another quick example I wanted to
yeah.
share on making that work. And the point I wanted to mention around delegating, I don't feel this as much in my basketball life, if you will, but more so work and professionally is when you take the approach not to delegate, right? You're taking away opportunities for others to grow,
Mm.
right? And for others to fail and learn. And I think you can agree with this because I feel like I can, is if there wasn't someone to delegate something to me, I would have never been able to grow in that space, in that area. So it's something that I've got to constantly remind myself on that it might not be the way that I would do it, or it might not be perfect,
Mhm.
but there's something I could learn, but more importantly, what that person can learn from it.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
true. Like I think back to the times when I read all those parenting books of like
Mhm.
you have to be okay with your child making a mess in the kitchen and you have to be okay with them doing a terrible job vacuuming and don't go and redo it after they've
Right.
done it, right? So like I think of those and then I think of work and how I hold myself like, no, let me just do it. You're not going to do it right. But
Right.
it's that like, let them fail, walk them through that, help educate them. And oh, by the way, you've now given yourself some white space
Hmm.
on your calendar to not feel so like I have to do every little thing
That's right.
because
Yeah.
I'm good in certain places, other places, maybe not so
It's
much.
hard. It's hard.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is. I would probably have to say it was the hardest when my husband came home from working baseball
Mm. Yeah.
because then it meant, oh, I'm not the primary parent who does all the things and says all the things. Like now
Hmm.
you're gonna, but okay, you're gonna make her lunch like that. Okay, it's great. You did a great job.
Right. As you sneak things in the bag before they leave. Yeah.
Yes, yes, but I'm learning and I'm getting better at it. And I think there's so much value in that because it's less stress on you
Hmm.
and it allows you, like you said, if nobody had done that for me, where would I be today?
That's right.
So let me bless others to do the same. Okay, what personal success have you had and what led to it?
So I'll talk about first what led to it before getting into the personal success. So again, we've talked about mentorship, we've talked about community, the value of having a mentor, right? People in your circle that you can go to for advice or go into that war room, if you will, when you're up against a challenging decision, something that might be time sensitive. So, I value having people that I can call, text, set up coffee chats, etc., to help me navigate in this thing we call life. So to kind of give a quick, just on the basketball coaching front, I had the opportunity to coach as an assistant in the Charlotte area under someone that I really looked up to as far as just her basketball know-how, connections, everything. And I remember something that she said to me, because again, I'm a mom of three. My husband was also coaching. And she said, I don't want you to feel like this is ever a burden or too much. I want you to do what you can do, because when you do it, you are good. So she was like, yes, we have practice every day at this time, but if you can't make it, don't worry about it. Or if we have a game or whatever, I'll take it. But you are important to me, to what we're doing within this program, to be a part of it when you can. And again, as a woman saying that to me, it was like these bricks, just this pressure was just released, right? And I was able to be myself and come when I could to support her as her assistant and be that role for her in that team. And it was by far the best experience. I got to learn from her. I got to learn from the girls. I got to showcase what I was able to do as a coach. So it was important for me that when I became a head coach eventually, that I offered that up to my staff and the people that were around me. So again, I'll share a conversation that I had with Coach Natalie when I brought her on board. And it was the same thing. Like, I wanted her as an example to know her value and how much she brings to the program, regardless of the amount of time that she may be with us, understanding that she is a wife, she is a mother, right? She is a career woman, right? She has all these things. But when she is with us, it makes such a difference, right? And I want all of my staff to know that and truly understand that. And that's something that I preach on that end. But then also, as a coach, to not have an ego, if you will, and make sure that I have coaches, whether they're other high school coaches or college coaches or retired coaches in my network to call when there's that game that I just finished and I made a decision that I regret, talking through it. Or if there's a big game coming up, or there's something that I'm wrestling with as far as a defensive strategy, etc., someone that I can go to a nearby Starbucks with and with a whiteboard and work certain things out. That's important, right? It's important for me to share my vulnerabilities with those individuals, but it's also important for me to show what I do know, right? And I think sometimes as coaches, you want to feel like you've got it all right and every decision is going to be a perfect one, but really kind of checking that bias, if you will, and surrounding yourself with people that know a little bit more, maybe some that know less, but no, nonetheless you can learn from, I think is really, really, really important. So mentorship is everything.
Yeah. And again, like, I'm thinking of you and your situation. Your husband's also a coach.
Yeah.
So you guys have that ability to share different stories and ask for assistance or understanding, or like, what would you have done in this situation? It's funny. People will say, well, you and your husband are both mental performance coaches. Like, how do you do that? How do you guys have those? And I was like, easily. We have the conversations. And if his opinion is different than mine and I maybe disagree, we just agree to disagree. It's not necessarily anything friction wise. Like, he is my support. He's very good at being able to share those things. And I feel like not only do you have this community of women, but you also have your husband who does the same thing. That you can bounce ideas off
And
of.
I don't know if you feel this, but like, this is real for us. Like, this is not something that we do. This is who we are. This is who we are. So when people ask that same question of us, how do you do it? Whether it's your schedules, whether it's just the pure competition of being two coaches, all these things, how do you do it? And it's like, well, this is who we are. This is natural to us. This is when we're being our most authentic, right?
Yes.
So to us, it doesn't come off as something that we've got to add to the calendar or check off a to-do list. It's part of our conversation, if you will, whether it's at the dining room table or the sofa, while we're watching a game or an episode of this or that. So I think that's really how we make it work.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree. The
Yeah.
authenticity is, I think, and being yourself is the most comfortable piece. And then also you're teaching your kids those things
Yeah.
together, and it just, all the things come natural.
And then one more thing I'll just say on that real quick is just
Yeah,
like the
please.
checking of your blind spots, if you will. Like, I think having some, your husband that's in the same field as you, there might be things you see or don't see, right? Again, in your community and your network that can help you see what you don't see.
Oh, that's a big one. I
Yeah.
know that there are times, especially in my job, being in this field for the last 18 or so years, when new people come in, right? Sometimes people have those fixed mindset of, I'm not going to get feedback from that person. Like they
Mhm.
clearly don't have enough. But realistically, if I'm out there teaching and I say something that just doesn't mesh, or maybe they have more research, the newest, latest, greatest that they can kind of share with me, and I can be like, oh, that's brilliant. Let me add
Yeah,
that. Let me get to know that a little bit more. I think so many times we don't necessarily hear what they have to say and use that as
that's
potentially
right.
helpful.
That's a skill, right? Receiving feedback is a skill.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Mhm.
Here's a one that we get all the time, and I think you kind of already spoke to it with authenticity, but how do you practice balance if you are a type A overachiever with your calendar being very full?
Yeah, I would lead with do what you love. So I think by doing what I love, it fuels my soul. It provides me energy. Again, it's often a question I get. How do you're a wife, right? You're raising your children, you're working a full-time job, then find time to pour into student athletes as a coach in your quote unquote free time, right? Whether it's your nights, weekends, etc. And it's because that truly fuels my soul. I really don't know what I would do if I didn't prioritize those type of things. I think it helps me prevent going down the road of burnout. There are times where even when you're doing what you love as well, that it could take up your time and your energy. So that's why I think community is something I'll bring up again. Having a strong team around you to pick up and take things on, even with those things that you love, knowing that if you didn't have them, this whole thing couldn't work. So, like I talked to you about, having folks responsible for our social media is important, right? Because there's a lot that goes with that,
Yeah.
right? Having folks available and responsible for our scouting reports, that's important, right? Being able to manage games and preparing for different things, that's empowering people to do things. That's what makes this whole thing go. So, for me, it's being mindful of what fuels my soul, right? Let me make sure that if I'm going to eliminate any white space, it's with those things that I'm just surely passionate about. So I think that in general helps me balance life because as we talked about, we're not getting any less busy, right? So it's just how do you manage through it,
Yeah, I here's what I love especially about you is that your full-time job is not coaching.
right?
Your full-time job is something else. Coaching is the passion.
Yeah.
What is the full-time job?
So I'm a senior compliance director. So I work with investment management companies. But again, to that point that you're kind of leading to, it's my passion in coaching that I think even helps me in doing what I'm doing in a compliance realm. So yeah, it's not full time. It's
Yes.
not full time.
Yes, no, that's the passion. Here's what I hate for women a lot of times is that we find our lives being so busy that we're like, we can't do anything that we love. We don't have time. It's work, it's kids, it's
Mhm.
be a wife, and then go to bed and go back to work. So there's no time for me. But I hear that, and we're looking at someone who makes time for her passion, which is coaching, which is basketball. It's being in it, it's being there, and it hypes her up. And she finds ways with kids and bedtime routines and food and dinner and all the things to still make that happen, to stay true to yourself. Because I find that some women are like, I don't know me.
You lose yourself.
Yeah, I don't know me. I'm just a wife. I'm just, and just is an understatement. I'm a wife. I'm a parent. One of my best friends the other day was like, I don't even know my favorite color.
Yeah.
Ah, and I think that's the most important piece is find something you love and keep that within your life somewhere.
And I strongly believe, especially when we talk about our children, when they see that when you're doing something that you love, those actions and how they see you carry yourself is the biggest lesson in the world to them over all the routines and the checklists and the other obligations that we put on ourselves as wives, as mothers. My daughter said something to me even this week, and I almost got emotional about it. And she was like, Mom, like you're building something. And it was just like, I had never took time to like really stop and pause and reflect and think. But in that moment, it was a daughter speaking to her mother about how proud she was of what she's seeing and what she's feeling and what she's so excited for to be a part of, or even her friends to be a part of. And it's like, you're right. It's kind of that celebrate almost. It's like I didn't take enough time to stop and think, but sometimes when you hear it through your own children, it means so much. So that's her seeing her mom live and act out her dream every day.
Yeah.
Right. I've gotten approached, about coaching at the college level and all these things, but I know something for me that I've been passionate about is building something for this age group. Because again, this was a pivotal point, I think, in my life, coming up in high school athletics, where I feel like really turned a corner for me. So it was like, that's my niche, if you will. Could there be other opportunities in the future? We'll see. But building something for this age group at this level is something that I'm so passionate about. So to see my kids see that, it was just, and again, we had that moment this week. I was like, wow, I was taken aback.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
good job, little lady.
Yeah. And I didn't break down. I got a little in my throat. But
Yeah. Oh, I would too. When my kids say something, my daughter wrote actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hashtags on my whiteboard over here because I
Mhm.
had a moment of imposter syndrome about this podcast. And I had that moment of imposter syndrome, and she just put unstoppable, hard worker, girl
Mhm.
power. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
and I just walked in here. I had no idea she did it. And I was like,
that's awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, we can
So,
do this.
so
Yeah.
you're right. They see it.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. Okay, this has been so fun talking to you. I have one more thing that I want to ask, and maybe you have one, maybe you don't, totally up to you, but tell a funny personal story that taught you a valuable lesson.
All right. I had to take some time to think about this one. And my husband knows this about me. I am terrible at directions. I am the one that will get lost, will make the wrong turn, even with the GPS, right? And I'm old enough to remember the MapQuest and printing
Oh,
the
yeah.
instructions and following that. And I feel like strongly that I would probably do better with the printed instructions in my passenger seat over my phone. But I leave with that funny story because I think that kind of tells a story about me and just how I approach life is just leaving room to navigate, right? Leaving room for detours, leaving room for adjusting traffic patterns or construction or accidents, if you will. That by knowing that I'm terrible at direction, knowing that I may be late to things because I might make a wrong turn, using that approach just in my life helps me kind of prepare, right? So when there are those road bumps or those speed bumps or those things that are unexpected, I'm leaving time to adjust
Yeah.
and wiggle through, right? And then two, it's nice again having my husband in the passenger seat, looking up every now and then from his phone, like, that was your turn. What are you doing? But yeah, that's something I think just funny about me that I have a terrible sense of direction. But I use that mindset. I help me prepare for the lefts and rights and windy roads and U-turns, if you will, in just life.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. If
Yeah,
we take that wrong turn, if the time says, oh, you're going to get there by 6:05, I'm like, I'll get there by 6. And then it ends up being 6:15. I'm like,
right. I can't tell you how many times I've done that traveling to my girls' games in Greensboro. It's something about the roads and the exits that I miss every single time. But
they're
yeah,
confusing.
yeah,
I
they
get it.
are.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
One last question before we wrap it up is you had mentioned something, and in my last podcast that I did with my friend from grad school, Brandis, she brought it up too. And I'm wondering if they're connected, and I'm sure maybe somebody else will if they listen to both podcasts. But you mentioned the war room. Is that from a movie?
From a movie, but I think I just use it just in my personal life where I feel like in my head I'm just battling something, good, bad, or indifferent. And it's just not being in there alone and allowing people to understand what I'm scared about, right? What I'm worried about, what I'm excited about, what I'm wrestling with, to not be in that room by myself. You know?
I really do
But
love
it
that.
is a movie, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she had told the movie, I think. And then she also mentioned she has a spot in her closet that she calls her war room. She goes
Mm-hmm.
in there, she prays sometimes. Sometimes she just goes in there and has conversations with herself. And just it's a reminder of what she's gone through and what she's done to get to where she is now.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
So
that's
I
good.
was like, oh, I heard it again. I clearly need to watch the movie.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
Mhm.
Anyway, Aysha, it has been an absolute joy to have you on. I so appreciate you coming on and sharing all this greatness for women and young adults and all the women out there who could benefit from just hearing the stories and understanding of one of the common themes that you put out there, which is community,
Yep. That's
your
it.
network.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
I really appreciate you and
Thank you for
can't
the
wait to see you
opportunity.
again in person.
Yeah, good to see you. Can't wait.
Okay, Aisha,
All right,
have a
take
great
care.
summer. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Bye.